Hey guys, and welcome back to another YouTube video. In this video, I'll be going through my trade targets for round 6, as well as reviewing my round 5 trade targets, which were not the best looking back at them, and we'll go through them quickly. And so yeah, I really only hit on the midfielders as such. But yeah, we have this video today. The trade targets, you'll also get the tips for round 6, and potentially, if I have time, also the team preview, as I'm lining up Friday to have some other stuff on it. Some other videos, etc. Swans video and potentially some other content. But yeah, so let's get into the video. So before we do, remember to like and subscribe, turn the notification bell on so you know when I upload, and let's get into the video. So first of all, checking out the round 5 trades, and you will see that Gunjaka, that was just a fail. She'd had, if I just quickly look over here and look over at Gunjaka on the fantasy website, she'd had 71, 22, 80, 72, and 39. So she'd looked all right, and I mean, she went 17 below her average at the moment anyway. So that was pretty poor in itself. Then we move over to the midfielders, and this is where I really only did my job as a creator, suggesting content here with row bottom 126. She went 11 above her average and 21 above her last 3 average. She had previously gone 121, 144, 81, 106, so there was room there, and even against Adelaide she went big, so I'm making that a tick there. And then you have just below her a little bit in the round score. For midfielders, you have Maddie Prasparkas with her top score of the year. I thought this was just sort of a play for, and yeah, just a massive pull. She's that went 21 above her average, 24 above her last 3, and if you actually look at her scores before it was a 97, 109, 92, 75, and then a 119. So 44 above her round 4 score and 27 above her round 3 score. That is a massive double tick, and probably the play of the week that I could have done. I mean, if I was to suggest a defender, Paris was probably the best option here. But I think these two were probably, alongside Parker as a midfielder, was the best 3 options as we saw through the round, and we'll adjust accordingly for the next round. Then in the ruck department, yeah, Schultz was just horrific. She had the game against West Coast Eagles and got 19 hit-outs, just struggled, so that was a fail. Again, Moffat was probably the one to pick up again. Still, she went 119. Edmonds a 109. Moody, and then you have probably Wake for the ruckman, not the defender. The defender was the rookie that I had said in the rookie segment, I should say, of the round 5 trade targets. And yeah, so Wakeford went 80, I believe, against Port Adelaide, and beat out Schultz in the ruck, which I thought would actually be the opposite, to be honest. Then we move into the forward line, and I went for King 66, but that was a fail. You had probably the best one to go for on a cheap without going for the main ones was Wardlaw. She went 90. Gabby Newton as well, 89. I mean, you have Davidson also here, just looking here. Davidson went 96, so those were the options sort of in the forward line. And then the rookies, if I just check here, it's quite hard to always check rookies because, you know, they can range in price quite quickly. But if we look at the 300k rookies, you had Porter, who went 63, so that was probably an option. And then you also had Hammond, who went 55, who was probably a better option. But you couldn't have known these, to be honest, as, you know, sometimes they just get the ball. Like looking at Hammond here, she's gone 26 above her highest score of a 29 previous to that. And then we look at Porter, and she's done pretty much the same, going 36 above her highest score. So you would have just, I think, and I did this in the actual review last week, in the trade targets last week, I just shoved them to the side because they don't have good records at all. But it seems like those one-off players are the players that are, or sort of those players that aren't gonna haven't got a good record to start, are the players that sort of go a 60 here, a 60 there, etc., and then they calm back down. So that is the review of the week. week 5. So now if I switch it over to the actual screen that I'm currently looking at, just to show you guys, and then we'll go through our round 6 ones. So in defense here, so you can see I was just looking through for the rookies. In defense, you've got Priest, obviously went 120. I think she's shown now that she's about 10 or so above the 10 average or so above the next best defenders, because she is just she's got that midfield role. So in defense, I'm not going to choose her because I think that's disingenuous just to go, here's, as I've said throughout the trade targets, that I'm not going to choose the top player. Like, I'm not going to choose Marinoff each week. I'm not going to choose Priest. I'm not going to choose Moffat. Well, I did choose Moffat initially, but now that she's out and out the top player, I'm not going to choose Moffat because I don't think that's a really good representation of a trade target at the moment when you guys can be... I mean, you guys could be going for top players, but I think it's better just to go for those sort of lower end players. So in defense at the moment, I think Thomas should be a people's target, to be honest with you. I know that she's highly owned and she is one of the better players, 76 last 3. If we had a last 3 metric, that would be pretty good actually. That's for next year. I'm not relying on any of these girls. I mean, you could also look at Carney, but I think she's a little bit more obviously expensive than Thomas, 23k more. Tanya Kennedy went 71 as well, so she did really well as well. So she's been ultra consistent in the defense. So you could go her. She's got Port Adelaide and running in the midfield. She could do well. Who am I going to choose, to be honest with you? I think I just want to go reliability with Thomas. So yeah, I'm going to choose Thomas in the defense as a trade target, as I just like the way she's playing. And if you really discount that Freo game where she got stuck on the bench and had a blood rule, she's averaging, I think, close to, 75 or something like that. I think that was roughly what we said she was averaging if you take out all those considerations. Like if we look here, we have here 322 minus 36 divided by 4. She's averaging 71.5, which is just really good as a defender. Now we move on to the midfielders, and if I get rid of the defenders there, so you could obviously go for Rowbottom again this week, but I'm looking at this matchup and I just want to highlight that Parker is the out and out best midfielder in my opinion. She's got the West Coast Eagles matchup, which I mean doesn't seem like it's paying out as much as it was. I mean, if we look at where is West Coast, we'd have Roberts from West Coast. So they played Port, and Port had, I don't think anyone in their midfield go ridiculous. Let's look. Where's Port's? Port had Dowrick go. So they only had one girl really go ridiculous, Port. And they had Houghton as well as their forwards go ridiculous. So I mean, it isn't as juicy a matchup, but it is Port that we're talking about. And Parker's lowest score this year is an 81, 90, 102, 86, 139. I think she is ready to go for a big score. Then if I was to choose another player, I really like the look of Ali Anderson. She's gone 90 and then hundreds in every one of her games, so I think she could be a reliable 100 point scorer. I do like Riddell at the moment. Pritchard put together a good performance, but I don't think there's reliability issues there. Bruton put up a really good score, so there is that, but I think she put up a poor score in round 4, so you have another week to look at her. Maddie Newman, I don't think, has been reliable. Dowrick is getting into some form, so wait on that one. And then, so you sort of have that, and then we go by the averages, just because there are some girls that really underscored. Bowers should be back this week, but is playing North Melbourne, so that's sort of an iffy one there. And she could be one that you could just upgrade. I could upgrade Whitford from in the future. Maddie Prasparkas, 68 against Melbourne. Is she going to bounce back? I think she will bounce back. But will Essendon... I don't think Essendon run a tag, so she could actually be a really good target this week. Yeah, I think that might actually be the one that I go for. Because, you know, you've got Rowbottom here who's, like, top. If we look at price-wise, you've got these girls here, and then all... George Prasparkas is down here at, like, 8 or 9. And I know I've used her before, but I really actually do think this matchup is positive for her. So I'm going to choose her as the secondary mid. So if we go there, Barkus. So that's the secondary mid there. Then we move on to the ruckman, and the ruck department is looking, obviously you got Moffat, Moody, Edmonds, and sort of Good and Seymour. I sort of am leaving out a little bit. I know Moffat is going to absolutely dominate her game, so I would love to pick her, but I think it's sort of disingenuous just to say here's the top player and go for that. If I was really choosing someone to go for, so I really do think that, I don't know about Strom, to be honest. Wales against Geelong, I don't think that's a good option either. So I think the best option actually is to go for Wakeford. She has GWS, which is Flo Davies. I think she'll dominate the ruck there, to be honest with you. If you look at ruck, and then we go over to GWS. You got Flo Davies here, who's barely getting any hit-outs. The forward department, Shrika isn't a ruckman. You got Barr, who isn't a ruckman. You got Goldsworthy, who's not a ruckman. Garnett is taking like 2 or 3 hit-outs a game. You got take out the ruck department. McCormack is got 12 against the North Melbourne Kangaroos, and that amounted to that. But if we actually look at, let me just search this up, let me change this over. You'll see here in all their games, so their round 4 game here, if we bring up all their round 4 game, where is it? GWS against Adelaide. Let's see, who did they get? The hit-outs here, you had 8-2-2, 1-1, so there's no real hit-out there. And if we look at here, they had massive hit-outs, 48 hit-outs to 15. So there is a massive disparity there. Then we look at, let me just go into the live scoring section. Then we go to GWS versus North Melbourne here. And you'll see here, hit-outs wise, 23, 13, 6. So it was 42 to 25. And that 25 was Davies and McCormack. So I really do think that Wakeford can do some damage here. I mean, she played against Port Adelaide, who aren't the strongest hit-out side, to be honest, in themselves. 22 hit-outs to 17. So I have a feeling Wakeford is the best ruck to go for. So I'm going to put her down there as an option. And I'm not expecting her to go 120, 130, whatever, 110 that Moffat can go. But I think Wakeford can go 80 or so here and really put some damage on the, really gain some cash quite quickly. As, I mean, if we look back here at Wakeford in herself, she gained 157k off of that performance and had a 52 previous, so that probably puts her break even now, I'm going to say, at about 30 or 25. So if she goes 80 again, she is going to massively impact the, she's probably going to go up 200k or so and really just jump up, and that could help me if she can go bang bang and really gain some cash quite quickly. As if you look at her actual time on ground, you see in that it's improving, and that's sort of improving with the scores of 40, 50, etc. So I think she can, in the next couple of weeks, if she can combine for 140 points, she'll jump up to almost 900k just with the way that the break-even split probably is going to work. So she's probably going to do well. So that is the ruck. And then we go to the forwards, and I'm not going to choose the big sort of 4. And that would be Gardner, Core, Too Good, and Morrison, as I don't think that's genuine. So I think it's between Wardlaw, and I do actually really like the stats behind Berry. If we look at if they actually have it up, I doubt that they'll have it up though. Now looking at this, do they have round? They do not have round 5, but we'll just show you round 4 just to show you what I mean. And you see Berry 40, 0, 43, 83. Her role is massively improving. So that's why I think she is in with a shout. You also have Goldsworthy. And if we look at CBAs, I think Goldsworthy is around about the same, a little bit lower than the likes of Berry, but still in that same sort of conversation. 33, 59, 38, 36. And I think it will be around 40 this week. So yeah, Goldsworthy is certainly one that I probably overlooked a couple of weeks ago, but I still think there is room there, as she could easily with a 70 go up another 20, 30k. But I think Berry went up 80k, but I think the best option actually this week, just due to her having a 90, and I think Hawthorn, if we look at the live scoring of Hawthorn here, AFLW would do this. If we look at the live scoring of Hawthorn in their game against Brisbane, I know they played against Hickey, who was a good tap ruckman. You look at the stats there, but Hawthorn had 31 hitouts to 36, so they did pretty well. They got Luke and Wales there, so that's going to be tough to come back from. But if we now switch over to the St Kilda game, where is that? There it is. You'll see here with Wardlaw that she does pretty well. I mean, she came up against Edmonds and McFarlane, who are pretty good ruckmen, and she's a secondary ruck, and she went 10, 6, 5, and 10. So yeah, you can see Wardlaw is pretty good. And I think that'll be a pretty decent cash gen opportunity, as she could probably do that. And then I use Everest, who will hopefully gain another 30, 40k alongside Hoare, and I can upgrade her almost immediately up to another a top tier forward, or I could do Berry and then also upgrade Everest and Hoare alongside Wakefer, who will hopefully go up, and that'll get me up to the likes of a Moffat or an Edmonds or something like that. So that'll be my forward option is I think Wardlaw just at the moment, until we see those midfield stats, because if Berry has that midfield stats, then I'll probably pick her. And then we got rookies, and you see here rookies. There's not really much, to be honest with you. If I was to choose one rookie, I don't really like Porter, etc., but they scored big, so you could go with her. I do like Fitzgerald, just because she's got the 51, which will mean that her break-even is so low, so that's why I'm going to pick her. And so that's that. So that's Fitzgerald there done. And I spelled her name wrong, of course. So there we go. And so that is all of the people gone through. So that is pretty much the video there. And so that will be that video. Then you have obviously the tips for round 6 going through them, and then also my team preview will most likely be out today as well. So that is the video, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye guys.